Oh, my name is Konstantin Federitz, and we're speaking of craft with two wonderful individuals, with two great, I wouldn't say carpenters, but furniture makers.
Sure.
Uh,
Woodworkers.
Matt Giossi
Hobbyist carpenters.
and Ron Kuhn. You're good hobbyists. This looks great, what we're sitting behind. So we know each other for a while, but I don't even know how you started this. So how did you start?
Yeah. Well, I started by way of Matt, so I should lay. Giossi really starts with Matt finding Hank first. If you want to talk about
Stumbling on the right door at the right time, basically.
Okay, how did you stumble on that?
Well, I was in the hair industry, actually,
Okay.
cutting hair, and I
Don't
was...
look at my haircut.
It's looking good, man. I mean, look at me right now, And basically, I went into a salon and saw some really well done architectural carpentry, and was like, damn, I really want to learn this. So I kind of slowly pushed my way out of that industry and into a union shop. While I was in the union shop doing cabinet making, I got laid off during one of the many layoffs that happened in the union. And I worked with this guy, Brian, who knew Mark, who apprenticed with Hank. And when I was 21 or something, and he was like, you're getting out of the union. I know you're going to drop all the security, but if I were you, this is what I would do. I would go apprentice under this guy, Hank. And so I called up Hank and gave him the, like, I'm coming to work for you. I don't care what you say. And he kind of, like, laughed me off. I was like, come to Naga, come see a show I'm in, and we'll talk there. And so I went there. I was, like, the first person there, last person to leave. And it was kind of from there out. I just, I walked in that Monday and told him, I don't care what you say. I'm staying, and you're going to teach me. And then I, cursed myself with that.
Okay. How easy was it in the beginning?
Extremely difficult. It was thrown in the fire. We did a traditional, apprenticeship, no pay, and just learn from a master. And so it was like right off the deck, right into, I think my first day, I had to map out like 150 linear or board feet of mahogany and give Hank a number on it. And then it went right into sharpening, shaping, and he just throws you right in the fire. And so it was just learning completely by way of doing. So, and for me, that was pretty crucial. Like, I can't really learn by just sitting there and reading about it. I need to be hands-on. So it worked out really well for me. But it was years. I mean, I would say that, the first year, I basically just stumbled my way through every single project and just hoped that I didn't get fired. And then all of a sudden, next thing I knew, I was like, oh, I'm cutting hand-cut dovetails. Oh, I actually understand mortise and tenon joinery. Oh, I actually understand the material that we're working. And then it slowly built out from there.
Walks on, walks off.
Yeah, that's it.
makes it sound really easy.
It's
not that easy.
It was not that easy.
I like to hear when you talk to Hank and you hear about Matt starting. Matt called and he's like, I got to come work with you. I'm coming to work with you. And he's like, sure, come to Naga. And Hank always pretends to hang up the phone. He's like, that's scary him. This kid's not going to drive to Boston to go to a show.
Oh, it's a good way of starting something because you're giving a goal that first you have to find where it is.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, you got to prove that you're actually interested. Right off
not
the
just blowing a smoke.
It also worked out really nice that it was a full Hank exhibit. So I walked into literally I think there was 40 or 50 pieces completely finished, and I walked in and was like, this is what I've been looking for my entire life. Like, this is it's practical, it's beautiful, it's interesting material, everything is different. It just was he basically pitched the job to me perfectly. Okay. By being
he pitched the job to you, you initiated, but surviving that's what makes it more interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
it's important to note, it was an unpaid apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, for both of us, I feel in our lives were like, you're not getting paid. What are you doing working for this guy? What's going on? Yeah. And we were like, you don't understand. I'm learning something, and I don't have to pay for it. I just have to show up.
Yeah.
It's an incredible opportunity that I think it should still exist.
No, you can go to an established place to work somewhere. North Bennett Street School, not that I'm knocking on any of them. RISD, pay a lot of money, and yes, you're going to come out with skill or some other stuff on top of it, but your skill might be minimized because you're learning some other things.
Yeah.
Not just spending 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day just
Every
doing
day
this specific thing, understanding the grain, understanding the thing. And when did you come in?
I came in, I think 2 years or something like that
it
after
was
Matt.
3, yeah.
Essentially, I had been bartending and waiting tables, and I had been doing that for, even though I was 23, I think. I'd been doing it for a while. I'd run its course. I started to piece together furniture making classes where I could. And it was like, come learn how to cut dovetails on a Friday and a Saturday. So I'd go and I'd be like, I love this, and then I'd leave and I'd be like, a week later I'd be like, I didn't learn any. Like I did it one time. So I was trying to find my way there. My dad was a carpenter for his whole life. I was thinking about getting into carpentry, and I had always done jobs with him, so I was like familiar with wood, I thought, and tools, I thought. And then Matt and I connected at a mutual friend's birthday party. So Matt and I actually grew up in the same town. And we always had the same circle of friends, but for whatever reason, Matt and I were like always growing up. People were like, you don't know Matt? How do you not know Matt? You'd love Matt, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So we finally connected. We were talking about woodworking, and at the time there was another guy, Paul Muscat, who was working with Hank. And he was about to go to college with the Redwoods. So there was going to be an opening. And at that time, Mark, who trained Matt, had left. So it was just Matt at Hank's. And Matt was like, come out. Or you were like, call Hank.
Yeah.
And at the time, Hank was doing a ton of, I think he was like a lot of
Maine,
landscape
yeah.
work up in Maine.
Up in Maine, yeah.
And I was like, for like weeks and weeks, I was calling like I was trying not to harass, but I was calling all the time. And I was always getting Matt. And I was like, all right, what's up? Does Hank exist? What's going on? Finally, I went out. I saw Hank's place. It kind of like floored me. It just, the whole, I was in this fast-paced restaurant industry, and then I go out and they're drinking coffee in the backyard, and going in. Like everything I saw was completely romantic. And then I got Hank on the horn, and I was like, I gotta come work with you, please, whatever. And he's like, oh, I remember I was in the bathroom during service at the restaurant that I was working at. And I'm like, blah, 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 I gotta come work with you. And he's like, you have no idea what you're talking about? And I was like, that's why I need to come work for you, basically. And he was like, I'm never gonna train you, and I'm never gonna pay you. But if you wanna come hang out here, like, you can come hang out here. And that, he did end up teaching me things. Matt really taught me a lot of things. He did end up paying me after about 14 months. But I think it was like, and I remember being like, I'm not getting paid, I can only do 3 weeks. And he's like, 3 days a week. And he's like, oh no, you got to come every day. If you're going to be here, you got to come every day. And it was serendipitous.
There's something for it.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
But it was also very serendipitous. Like, it was at a point where I was working nights. I was 23 years old. I was like hungry. I was like, 23. I was like really looking for, the hell is my thing going to be? What makes me happy? So, yeah, it was serendipity. It was good, right place, right time. There was an opening. Bumped into Matt.
Perfect.
Luckily, Matt and I liked hanging out, so
Yeah.
it wasn't like we were butting heads or whatever.
No, it didn't look like it. I remember
Maybe.
You're like, there's too much laughing in the shop. Constantly.
Yeah.
And any of you went to college?
I did. I did 2 years at community college,
Okay.
CCRI,
Okay.
and I was it was like music education, graphic design, like just general studies.
Oh, which is great.
It was great, yeah. My point was like I had no idea. I kept finding the thing that I knew I didn't want to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
The process of elimination.
Yeah.
That's work.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, you got into something.
Well, finally, I was
Yeah.
like, how about some security? I'm gonna be a self-employed
Furniture
woodworker.
maker.
This will be really secure.
We're gonna be totally fine. Make tons of money. Life will be easy.
Okay, so the life at Hank's, somewhat laid back, somewhat, I wouldn't say secure, but secure in the sense of the direction of where you're going,
Yeah.
the project, the style, and everything else. When you decided to head your own direction, and when did you decide to set up a shop?
So
What was that catalyst?
I can kind of run with that a little bit.
Go ahead.
That was like an interesting thing because I think that both of us, when we started at Hank's, we've had this goal in mind, which was like, I understand that he's in his 60s. He's not going to do this forever. So I need to take what I can now to learn everything I can and meet all the mentors within this world to be able to do our own thing eventually. Like that was like a destination. Like that was like the goal from the start, I think, with both of us. Like, whether it was together or not, but like that was something, like, even when we started Hanks, he was like, eventually I'm going to be done. You're going to have to figure out what to do. And I was like, well, I know what I'm going to do. Like, we're doing this. Like,
Well,
I'm going
he's
to.
done as long as I know him.
Yeah,
He's
I know.
been
He's
done.
been
He's
done
been
since
my
the
last
day I
year,
started.
yeah.
Yes,
15
yes.
years ago.
Which is, we were working for him, like,
Yeah.
like we had our own ambition, right? Like you start to design and draw, like both of us had been interested in
Yeah.
that. We got some from him. And, you would build things in Hank's shop, but it was like he would always come. We kind of were both like, I think it really first, it was ambition. We wanted a little bit of space from our mentor to like explore with like within, I don't know, with our
Outside of the
safety net,
circle, yeah.
And then it was like, let's get some side jobs going. Let's see what we can do.
That was another thing. It was the subsidized income, because even when you're working for a small shop like that, you're getting consistent money, but it's not a lot, in comparison to what
Woodworking
people.
is not a lot, period.
No, it's never.
Right.
It's never. You just learn how to live with like Savers clothes and everything like that, and like the cheapest coffee you can. But and it's a good life. But like, I remember being like, I need to, just to be able to pay my bills, especially the first couple of years, I was like, I need to take on side jobs. Like, if it's scraping doors and refinishing them, like, I'll learn something from that. I'll learn how they go, how they're constructed, how they're, put together, and also how to finish. So it was like, that side shop became a thing where we were like, all right, this is like for us to practice outside of Hank's circle and try other forms of making when it comes down to woodworking. But also, yeah, how can we subsidize our income so every month isn't like, oh boy, it's, you're like, okay, cool, I got a little bit of extra money, I got a little bit more. And you're also getting experience. You're getting trial and error experience. Like, somebody's like, can you renovate a bathroom? And you're like, yeah, absolutely. Like, we'll figure it out.
I think in the back of both of our minds too, like it was like Hank was older, he would joke around about retiring, and he would joke around, he was always talking about money and our future and this lifestyle. So he really like beat us over the head, like, this is not how you get rich. Like,
Yeah,
do you see
you
this?
guys
Like,
see
basically.
that, right?
So we totally drank the Kool-Aid, and we were like, okay. So we were like, luckily we both don't love to sit still, so it wasn't like uncomfortable for us to start working nights. It was very exciting to have our own space to explore new ideas, to take on side work. And also, I think like it was a conscious thing where we were like, let's start grassrooting our future a little bit. In other words, Hank's model was not a woodworker business that one day he's going to say, do you want to buy my business or whatever? So we were like, how do we
not the way it
start
works,
to
yeah.
a little bit like get some space and like make, kind of grassroots our own jobs, our own business moving forward. So that's what we did. We started doing side jobs of furniture, which is like awesome, but we made no money because we had no rep.
Yeah,
so we're
yeah.
building like cabinets and stuff for like hundreds of dollars. Like, it was
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah.
And then we were doing a couple of kitchens, and then it kind of became where we were still expected to, we were working for Hank, so we were going to Hank's 5 days a week. But then all of a sudden we were like, well, we can't say no to this job. So then it became like really working around the clock, which was fine because it's something that we
We're
still do, and I'm
excited,
sure
yeah.
you still do, and anybody who does like anything like this for a living does. But it started to kind of clash. Like, the two worlds are kind of clashing a bit, and I think that at like really when we were at Hank's for like 8 years for me and like 10 for you.
Yeah.
Like, we love Hank, and it's so great to still work with Hank and everything, but we're both like, oh man, we need some more autonomy. We need some more, like, I just need a little bit
getting
of.
into our 30s. We were like, I want to push our own thing harder.
Yeah.
I want to actually start putting down these roots.
But it's a big leap to go from someone else, and I will simplify it, from someone else's table saw to your own table saw.
Terrifying.
One thing that was really good for us is, well, one, we see eye to eye a lot on like how to spend money within our shop account. Like, we had to take money out of this like little purse that we carry around. But like, because we had the duality of working at Hank's during the day, like we could keep the lights on. We weren't going to die. It's not like Hank paid us. He didn't pay us a lot because it's the woodworking world, but he didn't pay us nothing. So we could scratch together, do some side jobs, and be like, let's get the bandsaw, let's get the table saw. So we had kind of pieced together a lot of our equipment and built a lot of our own cabinets at night. So we had a space without like ever having to take out a loan or do
Yeah, we
anything like
never had
that.
to-
Taking a loan is the worst thing.
Yeah, no, we never wanted to have any sort of debt. That was
I've
like,
seen too many
yeah.
big places that had $1 million loans and they just went under in a year later.
Yeah,
because
you
they
can't-
you can't service the loan and that's it.
Yeah.
This industry is up and down, up and down, up and down.
We're still, I mean, being, like 15 years for Matt and whatever, like just under for me. And we're still like,
we're still careful about it.
yeah, we still see the
Yeah.
up and down. We still haven't touched the loan. We still really need a van. We still could really use a paid employee. But we're
Yeah.
always like, the next 4 months look good. The next 6 months look good. But
Yeah.
like, we're just starting to get to the point where we're like, all right, we see the risk and the reward. And like,
Yeah.
there's a time to be like, let's do the scary thing and
Don't
do it.
Don't.
Okay.
Don't do
Yeah,
the
no,
scary
I mean,
thing.
we don't need to, it's like realistically, like we have a full shop set up, we have everything we need, we don't have any debt, because of the circle of Hank and all these other woodworkers like you and everybody, we have these people who reach out and they're like, hey, I have a guy who's like selling his shop off, he's got, horizontal boring machine for like $1,000, do you guys want it? And we're like, yes. Like we can't afford a brand new one, but this guy maintained it, let's snag it, and so you just wait for those opportunities. You just don't buy the first thing you see. You wait, you live with what you have, and then all of a sudden, like, something comes in, somebody's shop is shutting down, somebody's retiring, and they're like, hey, do you need anything? And we just come in and snag what we need, or
Yeah, plus you know exactly what you need because
Exactly.
you already developed a need for it.
yeah, exactly.
You're not just buying off the list of someone
Things you
else.
think,
So you started your own. Why would you think not a lot of places are popping up like you guys?
Well, I think it like comes from there's not a lot of people learning this craft in this way.
Yes.
And I think it's a giant risk to invest into a small woodworking shop and take the plunge out of like a full-time paid career, like a salary, employment, health insurance, all the good stuff. Like,
Yes.
but
We don't like to
what's
sit
your-
still.
I'm like, what do
we
you got? What
we
do you
like
got?
to stay busy. We got a taste of it, right? Of this like lifestyle.
Do you still like it?
Love it.
Most days, yeah, I love it. No, like we love it. Like
Yeah.
What makes you get up in the morning and come here?
I think it's just this.
it's
like
kinda-
doing
yeah.
this. I don't know. It's like
It's
it's it
a-
all. I mean, I think we've been doing it for so long. It's like there's this natural. I mean, I was here last night and I put my kids down and was like, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to the shop. I didn't have to come in. I didn't have to work, but I was like, I want to be there. I want to go in there and I want to like work. It's not work all the time. It's like there's days it's
so
work.
what is actually bringing you here?
Passion.
Okay. Anything else besides that?
I mean, the need to complete projects.
Yeah.
What do you got? I'm like, what do you have right now that
the-
you're like waiting for me? I'm like, all right, let's A, B, C, D. Yeah.
there's passion, there's the camaraderie, like there's like
Yeah.
the it's nice to do this together and have a teammate and we want to keep the dream alive basically too. Like we want to be able to do this for a living without going into debt or being scared back to like a corporate job or whatever. You know what I mean? It's kind of like this is how we want to live our lives. We like to be self-employed.
Yeah.
We like to and it doesn't mean we like to screw off all the time. We still have strict hours.
Oh, yeah, we
whatever.
work.
No, it's very strict.
Yeah, you
People,
work
a lot
all
of
the
people
time.
don't get that when you're self-employed, you're your own boss and you're also your own slave.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
because
Oh,
it's like you're
100%.
always in here at nights and
100%.
you're always in there on the weekends. And I remember getting into it and seeing, especially like my mentor Hank, and being like, do you need to be a martyr for furniture? Do
Yeah.
I like furniture enough to this takes a lot of time and there's a lot of uncertainty. And I realized, no, you don't. And there's so many. It's not. I don't love cutting dovetails so much that I wake up in the morning and I'm like this.
Can't wait.
I can't wait to cut another dovetail.
No, I don't think anybody likes
Right,
it that
yeah.
much. You
No,
can like it
it's-
for a certain period of time when it's cool, when it's interesting, when you're learning.
Mm-hmm.
After that, it becomes something else, and that's why I'm asking, because after a certain time, you should change your expectation
Yeah.
of that dopamine that you you're getting.
Yeah, you don't get the hit from every single thing. You don't get the hit from, cutting a nice clean through tenon or something like that. You get it from a completion of a project, and also you get it from like the everyday
It's the process. Yeah,
Like,
it's keeping it going. We often talk like this can't. In other words, this can't fail.
can't
like
fail.
this.
Yeah.
This has to be like we can't go do something else.
yeah, no, at this point it's like ingrained in us. There's like
It's a lot of pride. We kind of built it,
Yeah.
and we're just trying to run with it.
100%.
Well, that's something to say about what you guys doing, and
Can we have a good screenshot?
Am I feeling like out of the shot the entire time?
we're a little bit.
Is it just me?
I do no, I do keep sliding back like further out. I'm like this, and then I'm like, I'm like, you guys are doing great over
All
there.
right, then come
All right.
over here.
Come on, bub.
It makes us happy. I don't know. It's just like, I think we always talk about it. Like we joke around about like, people say, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And it's like, yeah, sure. But that,
Yes, it's we all get that, and I'm sure you've heard that too. Oh, you're just working with your hands.
yeah.
You just,
No.
yeah, you just, yeah, you just, yeah, it's, yeah. Okay, I'll close my eyes, and how about I'll work for you that way with my hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of the things that's sometimes hard to get from other people because they don't understand what it takes and how it takes it. Let's move on a little bit to a actual nitty gritty of it. So you've learned from Hank, both of you. That means you learn his technique, you learn his approach, you learn his, and that rubs off on anyone as you're working,
Yeah.
as you're taking the design ideas, you're just absorbing it like food, and you starting to work within that. So I see that you're starting to develop your own things. It looks great, but how long did it take you to start moving away from that and developing, and how hard was that?
It's hard, and
Still
we're still
working on
doing
it.
it. And
Yeah.
it's because essentially there's two factors that go into it. And it's been like, it's hard to do because in Hank's world, and he's like this designer, you start to read his mind and you really start to like just know which crown is the right or how would he scale this, because you're building for him. And there was a lot of times he gives you a drawing and you have to interpret it and kind of run with it, and you got to get it right. It's his thing. And I don't know if you've met Hank. He can be critical at times in a good way. But, like, there's that, and then there's, for us, so there's this vocabulary that it's been just, like, totally ingrained in our mind of how certain things look. And then we're trying to work away from that. And then there's also, we're doing this for a living now. So a lot of these techniques and stuff are also, like, our bread and butter. It's what we know how to do well.
Yeah.
It's what we know how to do kind of profitably. But every job we do, we always step back and we're like,
This is too hanky. Is this...
yeah, like it's gotten
Yeah.
to the point we're getting away from the point, but it was like you would draw things and be like, man, that looks awesome, and then you'd be like, that looks like Hank, like it, you know what I mean? Because it's like
Yeah.
our brain is telling us like, if I do this, it's wrong, because that's not how I was
Yes,
taught how to do
yes.
it, you know.
Yeah.
So it takes a little bit of like, let's try it, and if we don't like it, we won't do it. Maybe we won't post about it, we won't do anything, but we gotta like at least explore, what's this other arc look like? What's this other crown look like? We're trying to introduce like more turning and bent lamination because it's things that we didn't really do. So even just introducing a new technique gives us a little bit of a hedge against like changing our brain a bit, because like we love Hank's work and stuff, but
Yeah.
we don't want to
It's-
be like Hank 2.0. Hank doesn't want us to be Hank 2.0. It's like,
Yeah.
where can we go with this, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult because you're in a little bit different of what we're doing. We're more production. We're doing just what people want. We're selling exactly to the client, and when you're trying to design something, you're trying to design something your own, and that's why I'm asking, because developing something your own is very difficult.
Yeah.
And to step away from what you learn is a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
I feel like on 9 out of 10 jobs that are ours, meaning we designed them, there's always this conversation of, it would be really cool to also do this, and that'll bring the profit down a little bit, but we got to do it. Like, we got to do that thing. And I'm not saying that's smart or cool, but whatever. It just is what it is. It's like, in order to, like, you got to, like, one, it says interesting. You get to explore. It's like what we like about designing and stuff. It doesn't always mean we're going to make a ton of money. But also, it's like you need to give yourself that berth to, like, see, like, especially when it's art design, like, what kind of feedback do we get from people? What can we chart? Like, what can we make on this? What's, you know, because, you know, like you said, we're not really doing production. We don't really desire to do production. We'd love to continue to do things exactly how we learned and how we have been doing them, which is like custom pieces in a smaller shop, and you're able to have. It's just how we've worked, so it's how we want to work.
It's also like a lot of like furniture history that goes into it, where you know, we have been looking at Hank has taken inspiration from Japanese, Chinese, Danish, you know, early American, all these different realms, and it's hard to, you know, when that's the case, you're working in on this vocabulary that is vast, and he's done a really good way of fusing it all into contemporary furniture. And so there's a lot of times where we're like drawing things up, and you're like, I need to just like open up an early American furniture making book and just like look through to get something to inspire me, or an architectural book, like just look at like, you know, Scarpa's work, and just like, what in this is telling me to think outside of the box of, you know, Ming Dynasty furniture, or, you know, early American, you know, 17th century furniture. You're looking at different things, and it informs you to, you know, push yourself out of the box a little bit. And also even looking at contemporary furniture, what people are making nowadays, to be like, you know, you see a lot softer, larger shapes and forms coming in, and you're like, oh, that's kind of fun. Like, and before, when we were working for Hank full time, it would have been like, oh, no, you know, because it's Hank. Oh, I hate this. This is like, no, it's too thick, it's too heavy, it's this and that. And then now we have we're much easier on ourselves, and we're open to exploring that stuff way more. And it is changing how we approach design in a big way, which has like been pretty cool.
My house is full of stuff that I was like, I'm gonna explore, and I made it, and I was like, oof, I'm glad I'm living with it. I don't want to sell this thing.
Totally. Oh my God.
Oh, you never know, because a few years later you can go back to something and look at it again. You might not take it as an entirety, but you'll take it as a detail that will work, and you can just
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
tweak a little bit, or it's not just your eye that changes, also the trends are changing, the ideas are evolving, and some things come back, some things are not. But you never know what might look ugly today. Tomorrow you'll look at it differently.
You get a little bit of space between like being the person who made it too. You know, like when you like we'll go.
No, you
that
have
is
to
a big
separate
thing.
yourself from that.
Yeah, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I like
Yeah,
it.
when we go to like clients' houses that we haven't been there in a few years or a few months, and we see a piece that we made 2 years beforehand, it is always like, damn, I hate, like when this thing was going out, I was done with it, but I love this. Like I thought this was too heavy, or I thought this was too, you know, narrow or whatever. And now it's like you see it and you're like, you're removed from it. You're now just observing it, and it's like, oh, I love this. Like this is actually inspiring. Yeah.
Back to the funny thing about Hank too is he's designed thousands of friggin' pieces.
Yes, and that's what I wanted to ask, because knowing the hundreds of drawings there, these thick notebooks and everything else, do you guys do that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch. We just
Sketches
sold
everywhere.
a lathe so that we can get a flat file system, because we keep like moving these drawings
Literally
around.
pages upon pages, and a lot of time it's like that's the best thing about commission work, is that you get a request for something that's like so out of what you'd be thinking, and you can't just draw it once. You have to draw a million ideas. Like we have the Bible stand that we just made, the altar. I think I put like a full week of 40 hours into just drawing really quick sketches before we were like, okay, this is the direction we're gonna go. And then it required like the details. It required changing forms, different ways of looking at it, and like then engineering. So that's what goes into those sketches. It's like we need to do it, because you don't want to just pick the first idea. That was one thing that we were trained, was like, you never go with your first drawing unless you do.
Yeah, you can
it's
go
like,
back to it, but
Yeah.
if you look at something you're like, that's a good idea, keep beating it up, moving it around.
Yeah, drawing a square, draw a circle. That's the old hanky one. That's like, if you're drawing a square over and over and over, just draw a circle and approach it completely differently. And it is amazing what that does, for you. It helped having a mentor like him, because it was like, he would be like, all right, you got nothing to do today, really, like in the shop. Like, you could work on this, but like, I want you to sit here and draw a tapered chest of drawers, 8 drawers, about this scale for the entire day. And I want you to come up with like
get
10 ideas.
Some drawings that you felt really good about, and he'd be like, "Look at this! What is
This
the
is
scale?
terrible."
The scale is way off."
This is so out of scale.
And it was good because it made you like So we both like to go back and forth to draw and design. My drawings are always more like illustrations. They come off as more cartoony, and I struggle more with scale. Like a lot of our renderings when we work with people, they're drawings. They're not renderings. Matt's a lot quicker and better. So a lot of the drawings that we give clients are Matt's drawings, which is good because it takes the pressure off me. But it's funny because I remember learning that with Hank a lot. Like it's such a skill set to be like, especially in front of a client, and be like, well, I'm thinking something, and then to be able to like draw it, and it could be like Hank's drawings and yours too. It can be like 5 lines sometimes, but the scale is like nailed, and you're like, that's a perfect piece of furniture right there.
Yeah, but there's also something to say, like, yeah, when you're drawing a table, it may be one thing. When you're drawing a chest that's tall, you need to consider that you're looking at it directly. You might be looking at it different way when it sits on the floor. Mm-hmm. So the base should be taller. The top maybe should be a little taller, depends where it is. So all these things you might not have in the drawing. You might have to adjust later on.
Totally, yeah.
But I get where you're coming. You need to represent it somewhere, and is your personal creativity and because obviously what you guys do is creative. It's creativity, it's discipline, it's grinding work, but what I was leading to is creativity is still a big factor in making something sort of that looks the same or not.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I think that the natural creativity and excitement kind of ebbs and flows. Like sometimes we'll both kind of talk like, man, I'm like, I got to do these drawings, but oof. And then other times it's like exciting. But we all, like Matt and I both jump around, whether like we both draw and paint and sculpt and play music or whatever. Like we have other ways to kind of like get us back in here when this starts to feel too much like work or whatever, or when a job comes up that's like maybe somebody else designed it and we're going to build it and the build will be fun or what. I don't know. Like there's some, it's not always, we don't wake up every single day being like, I want to design, but like,
oh my God.
But like enough days for sure. Most days.
Yeah. And there's moments where like, I think that like when you're transitioning from a sketch to a full scale drawing, because like doing like a drawing, like we did like a rendering on a computer, had a friend send us, like we just did a table, for example, that was like 2 dining room tables that they sent us like shop drawings to make, and we were like, all right, like we can do this, but we had to draw it full scale. And when you're drawing full scale, things change because you're like, I need to make it look like this thing even though these numbers aren't lining up right. And so you kind of adjust. And with our stuff, there's no shop drawings. It's just, here's the sketch, this is about the height that we want to be at. Like, let's say it's a desk 29 inches tall, 26 deep, 57 inches long. You have to like go to a drawing board, lay a piece of vellum out, and you have to draw it. And there's so much that changes when you're doing a full scale drawing versus a sketch. You don't know what that pitch of the leg is. You don't know how you're going to construct it. And that's a big thing. Like when you're doing, you have to construct it with strength. It has to have, the right angles to make things work. It has to have the right type of joinery where it's not weakening the stretcher, but still giving strength to the piece. And it's not going to rack and rock. So like when you're doing the designing and making the full scale drawing, you're thinking about the engineering, the material, the actual aesthetic view of what this thing is this going to look like this sketch? Because
is
at
it
the
gonna
end,
work?
if you're going to, and is it going to work? Like, how are we going to actually construct this? And even down to like the glue up. And when you end the project, if that piece doesn't look like that sketch that you sent them in some sort of way, you didn't do it right, and it's not right. or if it has a big wobble, you didn't do it right, you know. And so there is a lot of creativity just in that side of things, where you're, you know, you can draw and sketch and sketch and sketch, but you can't make until you have the real, you know, drawing in front of you, the full scale.
Yeah,
and
we've
that
definitely have
changes.
sketched things that can't work.
Didn't look
Or
as
like
we're supposed to.
sometimes, yeah. And
Or
luckily
pushing the
never
bar.
like, not,
Yeah,
not
we've
luckily never
never-
for a client or whatever, but we have done that. Or
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
we'll sketch and we'll be like, wow, that's a really cool idea. Will it work? And then it's like, before we even send the sketch to the client, we'll like come in here and whip up a test part and be like, it should work. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
send the drawing.
Oh, yeah.
This could work.
And there's like
Shelves in there that we kind of like that with. We're like, holy, why do we do this? Why do
That
we
was
show them this?
scary.
And then it worked out fine.
It worked out fine. But like that comes from experience. Like if we had made that in 2015, it probably would not have been done perfect. There would have been weaknesses in it, where like now it's like, okay, we know we got to back the boards like this. If you want to have this type of look, which is really hard to do in this material at this thickness, it's just going to take a lot more concentration and a lot more engineering behind the actual framework of this to make it work. And it worked out. It was terrifying, but as soon as we got up on the wall and we loaded up, we were like, oh, this is fine. There's no dip. There's nothing. You know, just hopefully no one.
We made it for
Hangs on
a guy, a great guy who had an office, and he had some really huge books, and then he had a bunch of novels. And we were going through these two designs, and we were like, yeah, so these will be for the novels, and the other book shelf will be for the big books. And when we went back like a couple weeks later to do something else,
Yeah, it was like,
They're all mixed.
oh my, it was like
oh
massive
no, it was
coffee
like
table
it was
books.
all his coffee table books on the top shelf. I was like, wow, all right. It's a good
Strong-
thing that we
it's
built
even
that. It's a
stronger
good
than we
thing that we
thought, yeah.
built that the way we did, because that would have been really bad. Yeah. Because
Okay.
that's, you don't know how the client's going to interact with it. That's why when we construct things, and why we, you know, which is where we learn, you know, from Hank, is you always build with the utilitarian purpose first, the
Yes,
strength.
yes,
you
that's number
never
one,
take away from that. Then it comes to the aesthetic. And if you've been doing it long enough, you know how to adjust things to make them strong. and
Not
keep-
everybody knows.
Yeah.
Not
yeah,
everybody knows.
yeah.
No, it's kind of funny too when you choose to abide by that rule. You try to, like, we make things that take a long time, but because they're practical, it's harder to get certain institutions or places who are interested in like arty furniture or whatever to actually be like, yeah, because it's not like a chair that you can't
That
sit
you
in or
can't sit
something,
on,
you know.
yeah, exactly.
I feel like, I mean, Hank dealt with everybody deals with that, but
Yeah.
the minute it's like totally practical, people are like, cool.
All right, it's a piece of furniture, and you're like, yeah, but
Yeah, it's a piece of furniture.
Yeah,
That's
it's a piece
it.
of furniture.
It's a chair. You have to sit on it.
Yeah.
You're
and
not
you got to
putting
be
it on
able
a
to lean
pedestal.
back in it,
Yeah.
and if somebody gets angry and throws the chair, it's got to stay together, you know.
Yeah.
It's like-
And let's talk a little bit about tools. Obviously, there's a lot of tools that need to do this, but what's your favorite?
oh man.
Block plane or rasp. But in our dynamic, and like I do a lot of bench work, and those are two through Hank. Like we do a lot of handwork, which we both don't want to lose.
Yeah, that's really important to
We
us.
keep meeting these awesome younger than us, smart, coming out of RISD guys who are like really great with CNCs and stuff. We're like, we should probably know this stuff, but they're like, no, that's cool that you know how to do that, and it was because it come through Hank's world where he's like, I'm going to draw this thing that's going to take you 2 weeks to do by hand, and be like, well, this is my job, and sometimes without even knowing how lucky we're like, this is cool to now have the skill where we can kind of get there almost just as quickly as some of these
A lot of times you can get there faster.
Yeah, I was gonna
faster.
say,
But if
yeah.
you're gonna make 20 of something, then obviously it's like
If you have to make 20 of something, you just
Change the design.
Yes.
change the design. Yeah,
Yeah, you make it adjustable
Yeah,
to
you
a
simplify,
CNC. That you're like,
you
I can just do
adjust.
this.
You're not doing one of a kind furniture if you're doing 20. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's different world.
we're trying to lean into that too. Like
No,
lean into
it's you have to lean both ways, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's because CNC is a different world. But a lot of times when people are using these big machines, big programs, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know
It's
what
two
they're
of us.
doing, what the material is, what the limitations are of design, how to connect, how to glue up, how to do all these things. It looks good on the model. It doesn't look good in the real life.
Yeah, it's
And,
not scaled right, or it's cuts don't.
Yeah,
come out
so
as-
it goes both ways. But what's the best? What's the most stuff that you love these days?
when it comes down to like the tools, or
tools, yeah.
I mean, the standby is always like, you know, a fishtail chisel, scraper, and rasp. Those are like in your number 3. Your Stanley number 3. But
There's a ship straw is cool. The scrub plane's cool. The compass plane is rad.
I-
But my favorite by far
I know.
are DeWalt orbital sander.
it speeds the process up. I know, you think about like all the random tools that we use that we're like, man, we pick up every tool on that wall right there. It's like almost a daily pickup. Like we are always using them. We do not, even if it's if one or the other, or sometimes both of us are like fighting for different tools on the wall constantly every day. Even if I'm cutting joinery all day or milling lumber, like my block plane is usually in hand, an adjustable square, a scraper, a chisel. Like you're always kind of grabbing at those tools. You know, they just
Okay.
become part of your.
Our apprentice friend Ben, who's in the other room, is learning how to carve bowls with gouges right now, elliptical bowls.
Yeah, elliptical.
And he's
yeah.
looking at us like, yeah? And we're like, yeah.
Go ahead, do
And then
it.
he did it for 2 days. He's like, oh, this is really satisfying.
yeah.
No,
There's something
it's,
about it.
Yeah, one thing that brought me into it, that the satisfaction of working with tools, working with cutting fingers and doing all that, and just cutting and seeing what's under there, that blows my mind still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but still does.
But no, always.
to
like,
this
there's
day,
still
man, yeah.
fucking curly maple, and I'm like, God, look at that. Like, that's
Yeah.
incredible,
Yeah,
or whatever.
It still is.
Going out to Hank's was, I thought I knew wood, and then I remember when I showed up at the time, when I actually came to start working, you were fitting this dovetailed bench with like
The step
had the step
dovetailed-
dovetails in this. I think it was
Figured ash, figured
that
ash,
was
yeah.
like it was like marble. It blew me away.
It
I'd never
literally
seen a
looked
piece of
stone.
wood like that.
It was like you finished, we sanded and oiled that thing, and it was like you looked across the top, and it literally just like all that soft spring growth was just deep, and so you had this glass. It looked like stone. It
Yeah,
did not look
that's,
like wood.
I still get a kick out of it.
Yeah.
Still, same.
Thank God, right?
If not, why would we do this?
Yeah. Thank God.
I think that's really what's
maybe I
keeping
should
us
change,
in
maybe
it.
that's what gets me
Yeah, I
out
was
of bed
gonna
in the
say
morning.
it's like I want to see what that figured cherry looks like all finished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. One more, I think we can go to a rapid questions. If someone wants to start right now, what would be your recommendation?
You can take that one first, 'cause I'm like,
Somebody
My
wanted to start
recommendation.
right now. I would.
What would you say? Don't do it?
No, God, no.
No,
People
no,
come
no,
here
no
and they
way.
want to learn how to do this.
yeah,
and
we
we
were like, come.
I mean, it's easier for us to like we did the year-long apprenticeship road. So I mean, I can speak to my own experience. I can't speak to what it's like to go to North Bennett or anything else.
I can't either.
And I just think you got to be hands-on. You got to be committed. You got to understand that it's not all the romantic plane shavings and everything. Like that is all part of it, but there's way more. And it's just like if you really want to do it, you set the time aside and you see if it works for you. But where to go? I mean, it's like we try to keep the apprenticeship thing going as much as we can here. We got Ben in here right now. We had Tristan earlier. This
Yep.
person comes out. It takes time, but it feels like a good thing to do, and we're in a spot where we can kind of do it right now. It's not gonna tank us out, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
To give you some some kind of answer, like real answer. I don't know. Call up all the local shops and beg and plead. I mean, that's what we did.
That's what we
basically.
did. Man, when I was in that
Find
area,
somebody who knows how to do
Yeah.
it and is gonna be generous with their time.
yeah, I called every single shop I could for the first, year while I was like trying to get out of the hair industry and get into this, and it was like, I would just every week. The way I got my first job out of that world was, I called every week and bugged the hell out of the superintendent of the shop. And then one day I was in the middle of leaving voicemail, and this guy Mark picked up, and he's like, "Is this Matt?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You called every Friday for the last 2 months. You got the job. Just come in." And I didn't know anything.
I called a lot of people. I can't remember exactly. When I got further into it, I remember Steve Torino came out to Hank's one day, and I was like, "Oh, that's right. I called you about an apprenticeship." And I remember Steve was like, "I'm not taking one on right now." But I called, I don't know, maybe I called you. I don't know who the hell I called. back
No,
then,
you
but-
didn't call me, but I remember calling and going for interviews in certain places when I was trying to get a job or get into a shop, and now, yeah.
Is that how it worked out for you too? Like somebody said, "Sure, you can come in," or
For me, it was a little different. I worked in the shop where I worked in a union shop. Couldn't handle it. Couldn't handle the pace of just move around and
Yeah.
just don't do much. Then I worked in the cabinet shop. That was very interesting experience. People were still smoking inside. People were doing contact cement, and when they were doing contact cement, they wouldn't stop smoking. They would
Wow.
just do this.
God.
And I spent a year there. Then I just realized that the same box that I was doing in the beginning, I'll be doing for another 20 years.
Yeah.
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 And I just couldn't, not because it was just became boring to me. So basically both experiences were the same. And then I ended up with not Bill Crozier, Phil Boschman
Oh, really?
Oh, no way.
on Eagle Square.
We just did a thing with Phil, like, I don't know, maybe 6 months, 7 months ago or something like
The
that.
dinosaur thing?
No,
Oh,
we
the
did
cabinets.
some storefronts for Phil.
Yeah.
And he's like slowing down. He's like,
Yeah,
I'm done.
He moved to a smaller one. Yeah, he was in Eagle Square where a lot of people were.
Bill Crozier was there.
Bill Crozier
Yeah.
was in the other place. He had his own shop. He was a very good setup shop, and then I started doing. I just went on my own. I did interiors of the houses, doing trim work, doing the installation of the kitchens, staircases, and all that. And started doing. I wanted to do. So I had some small tools. I had some small portable table saw. That was my first table saw. The little Bosch table saw.
Like
I
a
built-
contractor saw?
Yeah.
The fence
I
doesn't lock on
built-
both sides.
I built probably 3 big furniture pieces on that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, making jigs, but that was, And then I started buying, we had this small 1,500 square foot that we were sharing with a friend of mine. And the last move was, I forgot how many truckloads,
Yeah.
15 truckloads.
Insane.
And so it was, and eventually you learn, you do something, you raise the bar, and that's how it's pretty much moving forward.
Yeah.
That's how it is for 6 months to a year, and then all of a sudden the next thing.
Yep, and
Yeah.
then it starts again. All right, just a couple of rapid questions. Don't have to go into detail. Just sort of reactionary questions. A woodworker is someone who is doing what, or making what.
Anything out of wood.
Yeah. Yeah.
A main task of a woodworker is to
Problem solve how to build something out of wood that'll work.
Make something,
Yeah.
pretty much. Doesn't even have to be beautiful all the
Yeah,
time.
no, it doesn't have to be. Is it going to stay together? Yes. All right, good.
Okay. A woodworker should always
Watch the table saw blade.
Yeah, exactly. Take a second, think about what machine you're on.
Yeah. Respect machines.
Yeah.
That's what we can say. Respect
yes,
machines
I
and sharp tools.
completely concur to
Yeah.
that. To become a woodworker, you need to.
Have some grit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good.
Okay.
Not
I'll
that
stick
we
with that.
do, but I imagine if
You do. You're already at the point where you do have some.
Oh, thank you,
You're
Constantine.
already
Appreciate that.
testifying to that.
Coming from you, that means a lot. It does. So thanks.
And one quick last thing: what is success for you guys at this time of your life?
This.
Yeah.
I feel good about it. Like working with you're working every day. You're busy. You're providing for yourself and your family enough to be able to get by, and you're working with your best friend, and you're also you get to live your life the way that you want, which is problem solving, creative thinking, laughing, eating modestly, but eating well, healthy, taking care of yourself,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing something you like
Providing.
with people who you like.
Yeah.
Okay. No, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
man.
I hope that we did a good job.
We could always
sure
redo
you
the whole
did.
thing.
No, we won't be redoing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
Max.
very much.
Nice to sit
Thank
down and
you.
chat.
It's a pleasure.